Well, ever since my mother died a handful of years ago, I've changed a lot. The things that I think about, things that I even care about, and, my thoughts, words, and actions have drastically changed. All because, well, my mom died. And, there's some science behind that, like, well, when your family member passes away, that, your survival instinct is to have more children, right? But, in the last 3 years, I've been thinking much more about much more than just that. Because, my mom was such an excellent steward. She was very good with money, but more importantly, she was very good with family relationships and all that kind of stuff. And, I'm eternally grateful for having such a wonderful mother. But actually, gratefulness for me isn't good enough because I'm also thinking a lot about how I can emulate and perhaps even surpass what my mother has started, or not even to speak about my mother, but even my grandparents at that. Yes. The other day, I learned of the word family office. In other words, trust fund kids, those kids who've got, a monthly allowance of like $1,000, 10,000, whatever, right? Some ridiculous amount of which they shouldn't have, arguably. But no, I'm not here to pass judgment. No, I'm just here to speak about the nominal nature of family offices. Family offices are essentially a dynastic. It's like a company, it's a dynasty, right? And no one ever talks about this because this isn't in the minds of average people. And I think if this isn't in your mind, I think perhaps that you might be missing out on some things. Because for me, I'm not just thinking about my children, I'm thinking about my children's children's children. I'm thinking multi-generationally. I'm thinking a lot about like, how can I ensure that my family, my dynasty, my whatever, does very well for themselves. And this isn't just about money, right? Of course, there's a lot of money involved, a lot of land or whatever, not to say that I have any of this, but actually the nature of family offices is actually about governance, right? How do you stop your family from bickering? How do you stop your extended family from fighting each other in the courts just because they want a piece of the money or the land because the grandfather or grandparents are died or something like that, right? Like the family culture is actually what's really important here. And family governance and all the rules and regulations within your own family, right? These are the things that are really important because that's the culture of the family. So what really is the most important thing? It's about how you raise your family. And if you are successful, you have a loving, well-intending, and what I will add is actually a highly religious family of whom follow God, right? And more importantly, follow, in my perspective, follow Dharma, right? To follow the right way to act, to think, and to speak the right ways. And because of that, what you have is ethical governance, ethical stewardship, which there in turn, your family becomes a vessel for God. I know. This is how I think about it, okay? Sorry about the lighting here. But yeah, no, no one will ever talk about this because no one's ever thought about this. Everyone's busy struggling, quote unquote, being poor, struggling, trying to make money. And I get it. That's not the point. It's not about the money. It's about the family. It's about God and spirituality and religiousness and living in a community that is healthy and happy and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to keep looking more into this family office stuff. I'm going to keep looking more into all this like ethical stewardship and what have you. And I'll see if I can speak more about this.